Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
And welcome back as we continue to showcase those inducted into the Bayou Region Hall of Fame. One of those inductees was David Fournier, tough guy from Raceland, who chose to do it a different way in his career. They don't always get the recognition they deserve, but he got it on that night at the Bayou Region Hall of Fame.
Our fifth inductee of the night, his video coming up, is David Fournier.
I grew up in Raceland, but I grew up in the part of Raceland that's called Number 4. It's the Number 4 Pump District is the reason why. It's on Eagle Island Road. It was 19,500 acres. 4,500 acres was highland. The rest was swamp. We had no boundaries as so say living in a city or nothing like that. And it was a little bit of a different lifestyle of what most kids grow up in. My dad ran cattle, so on weekends for fun, what we did is we penned cattle. We penned cattle for ourselves. At that time, my dad ran about 1,000 head of cattle on there for a guy. And then plus all the people that would come help us on the weekends, we would go help them. So we was constantly penning cows, working cows, riding horses. And at that time, we threw calves by hand. So you kind of had to be a pretty tough kid to grab a 300-pound calf around the neck. It was easy to be a cowboy back then, the way I grew up. And of course, every time you'd let a calf up, they would always make the young kids jump on them with no rope on them or nothing like that, just to get bucked off. I mean, I think that's what really started our rodeo careers. We realized that we rode them with nothing for 4 or 5 jumps. And boy, if we can go ahead and put a rope on them and stay on them, then we could stay on them for 8 seconds and maybe win a little bit of money. I started riding when I was about 10 years old. So we rode calves and we rode steers. This preceded the high school rodeo and all of that stuff. So I was riding back then, and my brothers would go to rodeos and they would have a junior bull ride. And so I'd jump in with my brothers. Central did have a very good ag program. Mr. Harvey Robichaux ran it. And he was a comedian. He was one of my best teachers I had. I was on a judging team, the livestock judging team for FFA there at Central. You have a dream. All young kids have a dream. And I've always dreamed of if I can qualify for the national finals one time was a big dream of mine. My brothers and my friends that I rodeoed around, they become my heroes first. We watched the national finals on TV. You know, we had the heroes of Donnie Gay, the 8-time world champion bull rider. I specialized in bull riding at the end of my career, but starting off in high school rodeo, I rode bulls, I rode saddle broncs, I calf roped, and I team roped. As I transitioned into college, I rode bulls, I rode saddle broncs, I team roped, and I still wrestled. I didn't calf rope because that's a lot of work taking care of a horse just to calf rope. My older brother went to McNeese 2 years prior to me. I had some other offers in the panhandle of Oklahoma. You have to remember back then, I was from Raceland, and it's a small little town, and it's hard to get out of Raceland. And my only chance to get out of Raceland was my high school rodeo years. And there's a man named Edward Lee Kinney that did our high school rodeos that lived about 10 miles from McNeese. He was almost like a second daddy. My rookie year going into McNeese, I was not scared. I had no fear. My goals superseded my fears. So I was Rookie of the Nation. And the Rookie of the Nation consists of the cumulative points, overall points. So at that time when I won Rookie of the Nation, I ended up second in the nation in the bull riding at the College National Finals in Bozeman. And I also went into the short go at the College National Finals in the saddle bronc riding. So at that time I was still a dual competitive in the bull riding and in the bronc riding. And look, I beat some guys that's pretty famous today. In contention was Tough Hedeman at 1 second, which is one of the greatest bull riders to live. It's a really big honor to have been inducted into the McNeese Hall of Fame. The rodeo team wasn't recognized at the same level as the football team and the basketball teams and all, and still isn't today. The rodeo team probably is one of the most successful sports of McNeese. To be able to go into the pro league, the PRCA, and compete for really good prize money and make it a living, it wasn't that hard of a transition for me. The difference between the PRCA and the PBR is the PRCA has 7 different events. It has bareback, saddle bronc, bull riding, calf roping, team roping, steer wrestling, and barrel racing. PBR is professional bull riders. It's focused strictly on the bull riders. And it's bull riding only. We have no other events but bull riding competition. As I moved into my pro career, I rode bulls and saddle broncs and dropped the roping. It's tough to do multi-events in the PRCA for the simple fact that the PRCA has not figured out a system to where they can put you out, if you're multi-event guys, to put you out in both events the same night. I decided to specialize in bull riding. I felt like my bull riding was a little stronger than my saddle bronc riding, and it's way cooler to be a bull rider than a bronc rider, maybe. That's my thought sometimes. At that time, there was a lot of talk in the PRCA amongst bull riders, and there was talk about starting out on bull riding, players union, association. We wasn't really sure how we wanted to do it. Union came up, and so there was 11 of us guys that sat down in the motel room in Scottsdale, Arizona, that committed and put up our own money at the time, that committed to try to start a bull riding association. Winning the PBR title was more prestigious than the PRCA title from the very first finals that we had in 1994. You had the 45 best bull riders in the PBR, so if you rode it on the PRCA, you didn't have to compete against them 45 guys. So it made the PRCA a little bit weaker at the time. We hired a guy named Randy Bernard that was a phenomenal marketer. He was a visionary, and one that still today is one of the greatest visionaries that PBR has ever come about. Since then, he's been in IndyCar. Right now, he works for Garth Brooks, which also has Ghost Tunes, which is kind of a throw off of iTunes and stuff like that. The big money was in the PBR. So everybody that rode bulls good enough to make a living at riding bulls wanted to be part of the PBR because they had that $1 million world championship bonus at the end of the rainbow. When we went there with the PRCA finals without jackets, they wanted to fine us if we wore the PBR jackets. They were pretty upset that we started something because the PRCA never had any competition to that level. I rodeoed in the PRCA from '87 until I bought my card in '97, but I never went to one. I continued rodeoing, but through the PBR until '99. I made the national finals 7 times, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, came back 95 and 96. 96 collectively between the PRCA and the PBR, and both individually was probably my best years in both of them. It just worked. The math worked. I was maturing. I was on the older side as being a bull rider, but I was also maturing at the right time. I guess the only thing I can say is I'm like fine wine, I get better with age as it goes. That's a common question that a lot of people ask, what's the meanest bull you got on? We didn't look at it that way as bull riders. We didn't look at the meanest. Meanness didn't matter to us. Temperament didn't matter at all, just how ranked they were. When we talk about a ranked bull, we're talking about how high he bucks, how much intensity he has when he does buck, and how many times he changes the direction. When a bull's spinning, he's constantly changing direction. The only thing you have to remember when you get on the mean bull is you can't lay there on the ground. It's not like any other sport. It doesn't matter how bad you hurt. You have to get off the ground or you're gonna get hurt worse. In my career, I was very fortunate not to have very many injuries. And my worst injury was 1992 at the national finals. I think it was the second go around. I drew a bull from Canada called Sugar Ray, and he flipped me over his head and tore my PCL and my meniscus. So I said, I'm gonna try to get back on in the 5th round. And when I did get back on that bull in the 5th round, the first jump out there, when I really caught a hold with my left leg, it felt like he yanked the bottom of my leg off from my knee on down. That would be other than some bumps and bruises, I never had a broken bone in my life. Maybe a broken nose, not necessarily contributed to bull riding, but maybe other things, but never had any major injuries other than that one injury.
Most of my career as a nurse was in orthopedics and sports medicine, so there's kind of a scary part about it, but there's also a part that David reassures me through Shay. I wasn't a part of David's life when he was doing the sport himself. I don't think I could have had thick enough skin to be a part of his life at that time, but for Shay, he kind of grounds me, and his philosophies of how they got through their injuries back then and modern day medicine, he's the one that kind of helps balance me off, because honestly, today's modern orthopedic medicine and sports medicine, I think, is really, really good for certain things, but when I'm on the fence, I default to David's way of how they used to take care of injuries. I mean, he didn't speak to it, but as far as tough goes, I mean, he's sutured his own chin together in the back of a moving vehicle before. They used to super glue things, and I mean, he's perfectly healthy, and at his age, I mean, he defies all logic on how well he's put together considering what he did as a sport.
I'd be, 6, 7, 8 years old, and he'd drag me around. I mean, I was probably the only kid that got to get checked out of school, catch an airplane and fly to Chicago or fly to wherever the event was that weekend, and I would just follow him around. And so I grew up around rodeo and around his people, to where I was able to understand a lot about him and a lot about the level that he rode.
I retired at the age of 36. You're an old man at riding bulls. Might not be an old man in life, but you're an old man for a bull rider. I was mentally drained at that time, and physically, I knew I was on the backside of my career. So I knew in the back of my mind that if I kept going, I was going to get hurt. Having a son that rodeos on a professional level right now, it's harder than you rodeoing yourself. I've taken Shay to a level I felt at one time, and then he went to college and his rodeo coach took him to another level. It's much easier when you can talk to someone that understands what you go through. So a lot of times Shay and I'll still talk. It's harder on me because to watch your son, it's a very proud moment. But it's different because there's only so much you can do.
He never pushed me to rodeo, even though he rodeoed. It's what I wanted to do since I was a little kid, but he always held me back in a sense that he wanted to let my body develop and be strong enough to be able to handle, the intensity and the impact that it takes. I don't know why I wasn't stronger in the bull riding. I have all the genetics to be a bull rider. I don't know. Just when it got to the professional level and things get expensive, you gravitate to which one's paying you, I guess is what you say. So I was strong in the bronc riding, and that's where I went, and I don't regret it. I love it. I disagree with him. I think bronc riding's cooler. I mean, obviously, it's the classic event. That is what cowboys are, is bronc riders.
I had the opportunity to be a stunt double in 8 seconds, and also a stunt double in Cowboy Up. I stunt doubled for Luke Perry, which you can't tell it's me because they dressed me up like him. Cowboy Up, they approached me to do some stunt doubles for Kiefer Sutherland and Marcus Thomas. Doing the run scene for Cowboy Up was adrenaline rush like riding bulls. The bull's head hit the fence and the cameraman flew back. So I just got down off the fence and asked them to see if that was close enough or they want to do it again. And they were freaking out at the time, going, no, that's good.
The documentary of the PBR, which is called This Is Not a Rodeo. And it was a red carpet event, and there were people coming from everywhere. And this one lady said that she was been following him since he was at McNeese. I thought she was gonna faint. This was an older lady, and I was like, okay, this is a big old deal. But then when you go to Raceland or Thibodaux or somewhere in, the area that we reside, he's just, nobody knows anything. You didn't even know anything, Stan, about who he was and how accomplished he was.
I got to meet a lot of nice people along the way. A lot of cool, very high-profile people. Got to meet George Strait. I got to meet Kix Brooks, Ronnie Dunn. Also got to meet the President of the United States. Got to meet George Bush Sr. I also got to meet Ted Nugent one night.
He embodies the Cajun spirit and heritage, and it's almost a primal-like part of his personality that he loves. And he doesn't do anything that's not very passionate, whether it's working in his garden, training his dog, putting his boot on. Everything is like 150,000%. Very few people know how grounded he is in his spirituality and what his relationship is with God.
I don't think there's any regrets. I don't believe living in the past changes the future. Things I could have did better? Of course, man, you watch these athletes now, they work out every day, they're more fit. As far as physically, I could have probably did better. Mentally, I think I was in the right frame of mind. No regrets. I can't change the past, I can only change the future.
We'll be back with more on David Fournier. Don't go away.
Since 1954, Terrebonne General has been a beacon of health and hope in our community. As we mark 7 decades of dedication to your well-being, Terrebonne General Health System remains committed to advancing healthcare, improving lives, and expanding our services to meet your evolving needs. In celebrating our past, we look forward to a future filled with promise and progress. Your health is our legacy. To discover more, visit tghealthsystem.com.
Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
And welcome back as David Fournier inducted into the Bayou Region Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bayou Region Athletic Hall of Fame, Mr. David Fournier.
I think Skippy was right. I think when you get right here, your heart does go fast. Look, I tell you what, it's been a crazy career. First, I want to start off and thank everybody for coming here. I want to thank the Bayou Region Sports Hall of Fame for inducting me there. We look at my rodeo career. It's funny how life makes a full circle. I started off riding bulls at the Raceland Arena, and we didn't start off riding bulls because we didn't have bulls at that time. So we had a friend of ours that brought us a bunch of cows. So we rode cows when we started. I don't want to tell everybody. I never told nobody that story before. We rode cows. We didn't ride bulls the very first times. But anyhow, my career started in Raceland, and it finished in my last bull I got on was 1999, September of 99 was my last bull, and I kind of felt like I was the old man. It was time to pass the torch. But anyhow, life does make a full circle. I have a lot of my buddies here, my friends, my family. When we started off riding bulls, I was about 9 years old when I first started. I was riding calves that time at about probably 500-600 pound calves. And my brothers would go rodeo, and I'd follow my brothers in the back of the camp, or they'd go to the Pretty Oaks Arena. I don't know if everybody knows where that's at, under the Huey P. Long Bridge in Bridge City. And every Thursday night we'd go practice riding bulls there, and I'd slide in the camp and crawl in the camp, and I want to say I finished my schoolwork, but I'm not sure I really did finish my schoolwork every Wednesday before we went ride bulls. But I got the opportunity to follow my brothers, and my brothers were my heroes. I got an older brother, Lester, that rode bulls, and my brother Philip that rode bulls, and my little brother Mervyn that rode bulls and bareback horses, and a sister that ran barrels. So we was a rodeo team. I'm a second generation rodeo cowboy. My dad roped calves, and my dad rode bareback horses. So it was easy for me to follow the rodeo trail, although it's a lot different watching everybody else's videos and everything. We never got the opportunity to do it as a team. So all the time, my mom and dad would have to take us. We'd take us to practice. So I'd go to practice with my oldest brothers and practice all during the week. And then when it finally I got old enough to get in the high school rodeo, and my mother and my dad would take off on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and haul us to Jennings, to Shreveport, to Lake Charles, and every weekend it was my brother Philip and myself and my little brother. Well, Philip and I were high school rodeo at the same time, so for about 6 years in a row there, they had to take us every weekend to go to a high school rodeo somewheres. And it was a little bit different because as far as getting ready, we felt like working out, and I ran when I rode bulls, but I never really did work out as far as with weights, because I always felt like I needed to build the muscles that I needed to ride bulls. I needed to ride bulls to build those muscles. There wasn't a gym I can go into and learn to ride, so the more we can get on, the better it was. So my mom and dad hauled us to high school rodeos, and the high school rodeos they could haul us to. There's one guy I call the unsung hero, which is a guy named Danny Quibido. Danny Quibido was an ag teacher at East Thibodeau Junior High. He loved rodeo. He was big. He was probably 6'3". He was never a bull rider, but he was always a student of the game. So when I was 9 years old, and I think Philip was 13, 14 years old, we went to Donnie Gay's bull riding school. Danny Quibido hauled us there. He hauled us there. He watched. He was a student of the game. When we came back, we absorbed as much as we could. As we progressed, he remembered a lot of things that we didn't pick up at the time. So Danny Quibido is one of our unsung heroes when it comes to high school rodeo. I have a lot of people that ask me that says, where did I ever figure out that I was going to make it? Well, you really don't know if you're going to make it riding bulls, because as far as riding bulls and riding bucking horses, it's a matter of when and how bad you're going to get hurt. So after high school, I went on into college rodeo, spent 4 years in college, and then my brother was living in Texas, so my brother was living in Colorado, in Greeley, Colorado, so I moved to Colorado with him when I came back from the college finals and stayed with him a while, and then we moved to Texas and we rodeoed. But rodeo's a lot different as far as, I wish it would be it's not a team sport like a lot of other guys do it, so you have to do so much on your own. Today's world in bull riding and everything, we've taken it to another level as far as an athlete, because when we started the PBR, that's what we figured we had to do, is we had to make it to where we were athletes, to where we wasn't just old rodeo cowboys. To be honest, the rodeo cowboys had a bad image at that time. We had to change that image and make athletes out of them. And so with the PBR changing its style, and that's kind of what this brings up to makes me realize now that being on this stage with these outstanding athletes, that have been inducted here, it humbles me, and I'm proud to be able to bring rodeo to this level as far as an athlete. So, but anyhow, there's so many people, and I'm gonna go back and reiterate, it's a big circle that we've made. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that was here from the beginning. I have a lot of friends here that's here from was in the middle of my career, and a lot of friends here that was at the end of my career. I want to thank Tommy Blanchard for nominating me on this. It's an honor, you know. I know a lot of the football players and the baseball players, they get a lot more press time. They have games and they have press conferences after. A bull rider don't have a press conference. He goes there and he performs and he goes to the next one, you know. So those guys are a lot more polished than me. Anyhow, the only thing is I'd like to thank Jesus for keeping me safe my whole career, because I have tested him all along the way. I've been on top, I've been on the side, and I've been under him a lot of times. And he's always been there to bless me. And as I said, I had no broken bone in my life except for my nose, and that probably had to do with fighting. It wasn't had to do with nothing but a bull, you know. So let the truth be the truth. But anyhow, thank y'all guys for it's humbling. I'm honored, and thank y'all a bunch.
When we come back, I'll talk with David one-on-one about a great career.
Since 1954, Terrebonne General has been a beacon of health and hope in our community. As we mark 7 decades of dedication to your well-being, Terrebonne General Health System remains committed to advancing healthcare, improving lives, and expanding our services to meet your evolving needs. In celebrating our past, we look forward to a future filled with promise and progress. Your health is our legacy. To discover more, visit tghealthsystem.com.
Bayou Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
All right, David Fournier, of course, Hall of Famer. And I always say they get robbed in that industry because they did not get as much recognition as they deserve. Tonight's going to be a little different because he's going to get all the recognition he deserved. And first of all, I want to acknowledge the fact that I always thought people that got on bulls are a little bit crazy. And so, but hey, you're a pretty normal guy.
Well, right here in the front of the mic, I'm a normal guy, but maybe not behind the mic, I'm not a normal guy. But no, we're all the same. I mean, it's a little different lifestyle that we lead. Not all of us can be football players, basketball players, and track stars. We're not fast enough, big enough, or, can jump high enough, And me not making all that criteria on all 3 of those, then I had to find me another sport. So that's why I went into bull riding.
Yeah, but David, you grew up in racing. What y'all called it, the 4th district?
We called it number 4 pump district.
Number 4 pump district.
We called it number 4.
Okay. And, you grew up on the farm. You grew up around bulls and cows and everything else. So I guess, was that just destiny for you? You were sort of destined to go that route?
Well, just like anything, yeah, we grew up. I remember my first horse that I got, I was 7 years old, and the horse was 3 months old when we started riding him, and everybody thinks I'm crazy, but we have pictures of it and everything. But we were cowboys from the beginning. A lot of bull riders today are just athletes as far as bull riding athletes. They're not full-fledged cowboys other than that. I was a full-fledged cowboy all the way. We worked cattle. Every weekend we rode horses, we pinned cattle, we fooded cattle. You learn, being a bull rider, you have to learn how animals react to your actions and how you react to their actions. So we came by it pretty innocently as far as that goes. We just fell into it. When we doctored cattle, as kids, we used to get on them and just thought it was fun to get bucked off. But then we started realizing that, heck, we can make money by staying on them. So we're looking at this, the whole 180-degree opposite now. And so we started riding, and it really paid off for me.
in Houma, we didn't find bulls to jump on and see if we could get bucked off or whatever. But I guess when did you know that you were getting pretty good at this thing? Because you took it to a whole nother level through college and then professional. But when did you know you were pretty good?
Well, at a young age, I knew I was pretty good because I used to tag along with my brothers and all on the back of the pickup truck. I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and they used to have junior bull riding. And they had some pretty exceptional junior bulls. And I would go with them, and I'd get those bulls rode. And so I kept on going through high school. I thought I was pretty good when I went to college. I won quite a few awards. But really, after college, when I started riding professionally and moved to where what everyone else considered the real cowboys lived, was in Texas.
Yeah.
We moved in their backyard, and we felt like we had to beat them in their backyard. So we moved to North Texas, and we started beating them in the backyard. That's when you kind of started realizing this can go somewhere. This is pretty special.
Now, you always said you'd rather ride a bull than a bronco. And your son did just the opposite, right?
Well, I wouldn't say I rode broncs and bulls. I was better at bulls.
Okay.
And my son rode broncs and bulls, and he was better at broncs. So it's just to do enough events. I guess it's no different than a guy running track. He does several events and to see which one he's best at.
Right.
Well, that's why you can't just say, oh, I want to be a bull rider, and you focus your life on just being a bull rider. And when you fall short from that, you have nowhere else to go. But if you ride bucking bulls and bucking horses, it kind of gives you another where you're the best at. And it just so happened that mine was bull riding and Shay's is saddle bronc riding.
A lot of championships along the way. Made a pretty good living along the way. Is that something that you ever thought would happen?
I never thought, really, Martin, I never thought. Coming from South Louisiana, we watch pro rodeo on TV. And my initial goal was, wow, how great it would be to be able to qualify one time for the National Finals Rodeo. Needless to say, 7 times. But as an athlete, you just keep setting your goals higher and setting your goals higher. And you don't look at where you've been, you look at where you're going. Mm-hmm. And it was, I honestly, I would have been content if I'd have made the national finals in one time. And it's just snowball effect. Once you get the momentum going and rolling your way, it's easy just to keep that momentum going.
I've seen guys that bowled their whole life, that are limping, that are crippled, that are hurt. This guy rode bulls and horses, and you're moving around pretty good. You've been pretty blessed by, I think, you had a knee injury way back, maybe?
I tore my PCL and my meniscus in '92 at the national finals. A bull threw me over his head in the second go-around. It took me out of the finals that year, and then it took me out of rodeo because I thought I can rodeo with a brace. So I rodeoed in '93. And was about after Houston, I was 5th in the world and I was doing good. But man, just something kept telling me that I can rodeo all year and get crippled and this thing give out on me. And it would ruin me for 2 or 3 more years. So I elected in '93 to get my PCL and meniscus fixed. Came back at the end of '94 and qualified again for my 2 best years in '94 and '95. Mm-hmm. '95 and '96.
Specific question. I know y'all look at these bulls and they all have their own personalities. What's the meanest bull you ever got on? Was there any bull that ever intimidated you?
There's a lot of bulls that intimidate you. The meanest bull that I probably ever got on in '93 and '94 in the 10th go, '92 and '93 in the 10th go around, I drew him back-to-back years like that. Mm-hmm. It's a bull called Pacific Bell. He was a rank bull. When I say rank, he really had a lot of kick to him. He had a lot of speed to him. He spun. He had no set pattern, but he was mean. He had a set of horns about 20 inches long on each side, and he knew how to use them, and he knew how to scoop you up. Mm-hmm. And when he'd scoop you up and throw you in the air, if there wasn't no bullfighter to pick him up and bring him a different direction, he was going to scoop you up again. He's the meanest bull, but he's not necessarily the rankest bull that I've ever gotten on, the buckiest bull, because the bulls that I really worry about are the bulls that's really quiet in the chute. they have their gang plan just like you have your gang plan. Them bulls that move around in the chute and that's mean and that jump in the chute, they're probably more nervous than what I am. Mm-hmm. But this Pacific Bell, he would just sit there and he would let you pull your rope. He let you do everything you wanted to do until you nodded your head, and it was his game.
What was your greatest moment? Was it the first championship? Was it the last? Was it the college stuff? What was the best one?
I don't know if I can pick a best one. And a lot of people ask me that question. I've had a lot of success throughout my life. Each time you hit that pinnacle of where you win a championship, I've won Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo twice in the bull riding. That's a pretty big deal when you have 90, 100,000 people watching you and you're the champion. And, at that time we thought now you win 50 or 60,000 for winning that one rodeo. At this time we ran, I think the first year I won 12,000. Well, I thought there'd never be another poor day in my life, but that's not the way it works. I really enjoy my Houston championships. I've won the Cow Palace one time. I really enjoy that. That's in San Francisco. I was the first loser, what I call the first loser in 1996. I was winning the world going into the 10th go-around and then bucked off my bull, and it cost me the world championship. So there's always a lot of close races, but I don't look at I look at my career. I look at the fun that I had along the way. I look at the friends that I've met along the way. I look at the lifestyle that it allowed me to live. And I look at what rodeo has done for me to put me in a position where I am now. So
the movie stars you met, the singers.
Well, I met some movie stars and some singers all along the way, That was pretty fun. That was, to be on a movie set to where they catered to you.
Yeah, you were in the movie. You were a stunt double.
Yeah, I was a stunt double. So on 2 movies. So it was that was pretty cool.
Tell us that story about when they were filming and that bull chased you all the way to the railings and pounded the railings. And I think you asked somebody if you were going to take a second cut, and I think they said, "No, we got it."
Yeah, that's right. It was on the movie Cowboy Up, where Kiefer Sutherland at the end is a stock contractor, and his brother, which I don't remember his brother's name, but Marcus Thomas played the part, and he bucks off of this bull, and he hangs up to him, and Kiefer Sutherland goes in to get the bull off of him, and the bull hooks up to Kiefer Sutherland, and he runs to the fence. So my scene was I had to have that bull pick up. We tried to do the angles to where the bull wasn't behind me. I had to get that bull right behind me and jump right above the camera where the cameraman was. And this bull was hot. My buddies were good friends of mine that were bullfighters. They go, "Look, we can do this all day, or we can just take a hot bull. We got you. He'll run over you one time, but he won't camp out on you, So I said, "Okay, let's get it done, So we go out about 40 feet in the arena, and they bring this bull to me, and I start running. And I can feel that bull's nostrils. He was close enough to me. I can feel that bull breathing on me, and my legs are starting to get like spaghetti, and they were starting to give out. And I can see the fence 5 foot from me. And when I get to the fence, I jump straight up, where the bull never sees me go straight up, and the bull hits the fence. So the cameraman's sitting outside the fence. The cameraman flies back off of his chair, and he's sweating and everything like that. And I look at him and go, "Is that good enough? You don't want to do it again?" No, we're good enough.
The only time I ever rode a bull was at the Foundry.
Oh, yeah.
It was a mechanical bull.
Yeah, that's right.
In the urban cowboy days, and I'll never forget, there were a bunch of good-looking women all lined up, and I knew the doorman, Mel. And I said, "I'll ride the bull." He said, "You want the bull?" I said, "I want the bull." I had the black hat on, urban cowboy days, and they were all there watching. So he hollers to me, "What number?" You know what I told him, huh? 10.
10.
Too many beautiful ladies right there. "Give me 10. He said, "You want 10? Give me 10. I lasted less than a second on the bull, and it spun around, it hit me in the nose, and blood flew all over the place. But I can imagine what a live bull does.
Well, that's when you realize that even with the mechanical bull, there's no timeouts. Yeah. There's no whoa, we got an injury on the field. You're not off the field until you're out the field.
Yeah.
And whichever way they get you out the field, it doesn't matter whether if a bull throws you out or if a bullfighter saves you. I mean, it's no timeouts. And that's the thing about
bull riding and rodeo all together, you know. But the good thing about it, Martin, is I bet all the women, I bet they enjoyed it, though, huh?
They said, what a loser.
Didn't make you want to try it
the
again?
guy's all bloodied up. He didn't even last a second on the, what was that Tim McGraw song? I last 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu.
Fu Manchu?
I didn't last 2.7 seconds.
And his name wasn't Fu Manchu.
That's right. I don't know if he had a name.
I have to joke with Shay all the time because I said, Shay, I went to riding bulls because there's more women that love bulls. Bull riders way cooler. Yeah. The women love the bull riders. They didn't like the saddle bronc riders. What Shay does is different, the opposite thing. He goes, nah, the saddle bronc riders is where the women at. You know?
Wow. Well, what a night for you, and glad you got to join us. It's going to be a special night, and a lot of people are going to get to see what you really did, and it's good that you're finally getting recognized for everything you did. David, congratulations.
Thank you, Martin. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything HTV does and everything in Bayou Region Hall of Fame.
Right. Thank you.
It's really great.
All right. We'll be right back. Congratulations, David. Job well done. You stuck it out for many, many years. So glad you're getting the recognition that you so deserved.
Since 1954, Terrebonne General has been a beacon of health and hope in our community. As we mark 7 decades of dedication to your well-being, Terrebonne General Health System remains committed to advancing healthcare, improving lives, and expanding our services to meet your evolving needs. In celebrating our past, we look forward to a future filled with promise and progress. Your health is our legacy. To discover more, visit tghealthsystem.com.